Okay, hello, welcome back. So I did some more futzing around. I picked up a really cheap compression tester at my local Princess Auto, and I wanted to test the cylinders. When I first went to test the this right-hand cylinder here, when I screwed it into there, it actually wouldn't screw in. The threads, I'll show you on this adapter here. The threads on the compression tester are very short, right? I don't think that's less than half an inch. And when I tried to screw it in, it wouldn't catch in there. Like, it would just go in all the way, and then I could screw it. It would just turn. And so it turns out the first half inch or so of threads in this spark plug hole, either they're stripped or it's been bored out or something like that. Like, a spark plug will fit in and screw in almost fine. Like, the first head doesn't catch the first half inch, obviously, but the compression tester won't do that. So I can't actually test the compression on that cylinder. Apparently that's not too big of a deal. Shouldn't affect the engine terribly much. And you can get apparently little like adapters that can be put in there to fix the worn out threads. So I put the compression tester on this cylinder, and when I first did it initially, I was only getting about I wasn't even getting 50 psi. Like, the meter barely registers what I was getting. So that's obviously way too low. I'm not 100% certain what it's supposed to be. Lunmad, another Triumph tinkerer on YouTube, got 180 out of his properly tuned cylinders, so less than 50 is obviously not nearly good enough. So I couldn't figure out why. I mean, that's not a good sign. It could mean something pretty simple, like, you know, your valves aren't closing properly, or one is sticking, or something like that. Or it could be something much more drastic, like your piston rings are busted, or even worse, there's scoring on your cylinder walls. So it wasn't a good sign, but it wasn't necessarily the end of the world. So I pulled some things apart. In order to like adjust the valves, I wanted to assume that it was the valves and not something more drastic. But in order to adjust that, I wanted to get the rear wheel moving so that I could easily turn the engine over that way. But if you may remember, my rear brake was seized. So I started taking that apart. I didn't do a very good job. I started taking off this nut for some reason. This nut won't actually take the brake off the bike. It's for taking the brake off this attachment plate here. So I took that off, and then I realized I was taking the wrong approach, and so I started doing it properly. I did it here. I was about to start taking you have to pretty much take the whole wheel off the frame in order to get the brake off. But I loosened this rather, and there was a little bit of fluid came out when I did that, and I guess it was under a little bit of pressure because the rear wheel started moving just fine. So I'm not entirely certain what happened there, but rear brake is now disengaged, and the rear wheel can move. So I put it into gear. I reattached the gear changer, not really knowing what the state of the clutch or transmission was. And I was able to change gears with a little bit of difficulty, just because I didn't have the clutch quite working, maybe as it should. But just kind of like syncing up the gears manually, I was able to change it into gear and move the engine around that way. So when I did that, I then took off the valve cover here. Well, rather, I should say, first I put a little bit of engine oil into the cylinders through the spark plugs. My dad recommended doing that. The cylinders could just be a little dry and it wasn't forming a good seal. So I did that and I retested it. But since then I've taken off this carburetor, and when I retested it, kicking it over, I could hear the air whistling out of this thing here. So I said, "Aha! My intake valve is sticking or isn't closing properly." So I took off the cover on the I think this is called the tappets or the rockers here, and I took that off, and I tested the valve clearances. You have like a little feeler gauge. You put the feeler gauge, put a little feeler gauge in there, and you check the valve clearances. They're supposed to be about 0.08, 6 or 8 thousandths of an inch, I think, and they were basically completely closed. Like, there was no clearance whatsoever. So again I said, aha, they've been tightened down too tight, and now when they're supposed to be closed, they're still open a little bit. So I adjusted those. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt. You have to there's cut out there. You have to unscrew the lock nut, and then subsequently the adjuster here. You have to adjust it to the proper length. But it's not. It's easier said than done. That's for certain. But you get it eventually, and then I hooked everything back up, and I tested it again. And you guys just I'm still a little bit out of breath from reefing on my Kickstarter, it was substantially harder to kick the engine over when you have proper compression. But I worked up to about 125 psi. I don't know if you can see that. My camera is not focusing very well. Yeah, and I got up to about 125. Again, that's a little low compared to what some other people are getting, but overall, it's not so far off. It's a lot better, anyway. That's for certain, than 50 pounds per square inch. So it's good progress there, and I addressed that problem, and that means that there's not probably something much more substantially wrong with the engine. So that's definitely a very good sign. So going forward, I got to. I took apart the other. I think I showed that already. I took apart the other carburetor. Also a little dirty. I need to find a way of cleaning these up. Get like a parts cleaner, some solvent, and that sort of thing, and get those cleaned up and put back together. And then I can maybe start working on the actual fuel system and maybe get the bike to run before I actually take it apart to address the cosmetic issues. So yeah, that's where things stand right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do after this. I mean, aside from the carburetors, I might move on to the front and rear brake, because those will definitely need some work at some point anyway, or I might just leave those for now. Maybe I should start taking off some of the electrical, like the turn signals and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's things continue to progress slowly. Good signs, bad signs, but something to give me a little bit of hope anyway that I can actually handle this. So yeah, thanks for watching.